Hey Terra Tribe, it's Dustin from A Modern Metaphysic Man, and I thought today we could hang out and take a trip through the Luminous Void Tarot. This is a tarot deck that a lot of people have been talking about recently in the tarot community. It was something that I was really hesitant to sort of get on board with. For some reason, the artwork just didn't really speak to me the few times that I did see it. And it wasn't until recently when I went through and kind of really researched it and looked at, quite a few flip throughs and images on the internet that I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna get this, and I couldn't be happier. I'm so glad that I did, because it's about 1,000 times better in person than it is on the internet. So yeah, let's check this out. So it comes in this 2-part box that is really nice. As you can see, it has the title and created by Laura Zuspan on the cover. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably not, and I apologize. So the artwork is just kind of continued on the sides, and then on the back it says the Luminous Void Tarot. It has some examples of the cards, first edition, complete 78 card tarot deck and guidebook, and then information here. And as always, I will link information about the artist and the deck and where to find it in the description below. So if you're looking at any of my reviews, you can always look there for all of the details. So let's open this up. It is really tight, which is good. So it stays nice together. The inside is just brown. It comes with a nice little white book, and the little white book is really simplistic. It just has sort of keywords and phrases for the minor arcana, and then it has a little blurb about how to read the tarot, and then some just a spread or two. So it's pretty simple, but decent nonetheless. That's the little white book. And then the card backs are just stunning. And as you can see, this has kind of an unusual sort of card shape. So just to have a comparison here, I have the Albano weight deck, and so this is a standard tarot card size, as you can see. So the cards are quite a bit larger than a standard tarot card, and they have this unique sort of oval shape. The backs are really nice. They're sort of embossed and gilded, as you can see, which is really cool, with this sun emblem. And then the whole deck itself is edged in this sort of golden, like antique gold finish, which is really nice. The cardstock is phenomenal. It's printed on a really nice thick cardstock, probably 330 GSM. And the finish has this, it's that rose petal finish, which is just, I love it. It's probably my favorite card finish that publishers have recently started using. So yeah, it's absolutely stunning. So let's take a look at the cards themselves. So as you can see, the cards are done in this very whimsical, very light-handed watercolor technique. I think the thing that was off-putting me about this deck for the longest time was the faces of the figures, because they have a very surreal, almost creepy quality to them. But I've really grown to love them. I mean, it's just a stunning deck. So here we have the Fool, the Magus, the High Priestess, and as you can see, they're all like very etheric, very suggestive, and very sort of basic, which is great. Emperor, the Hierophant. It does follow the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith system. So if you're familiar with that system, you'll be familiar with this, the Chariot. We're skipping ahead. Strength in position 8. Beautiful, beautiful card. And they're so simplified and sort of abstracted, but they work so well. Beautiful Hermit card. The wheel, just like a color wheel, which is really cool. Has the faces on it. A really interesting Justice card. The figure of Justice is the scales. The Hanged Woman. Beautiful death card. Temperance. And in this case, the two figures are her or his vessel. The angel's vessel. It was really cool. The Devil. Tower. The Star. The Moon. Sun. Judgment. And then we get into our minor arcana, so the Ace of Wands. As you can see, this border stays consistent through the entire deck. And it is a nice border. It's very subtle. It works with all of the images. It frames it really nicely. So I actually enjoy this border a lot. Two of Wands. Three of Wands. And the minors are much more pippish, but as you can see, like with the 4 here, we still have some sort of hints to you know, scenes and imagery. 6 of Wands. 7. 8 of Wands. Which is a little different. I don't get the movement from this card. Right, usually 8 of Wands is about movement and the wands are flying through the air. This almost looks like the wands have impaled the figure. 9 of Wands. 10. And we have our court, so our page. Knight. Queen. And as you can see, you know, there are nods to sort of traditional symbolism that you find in other tarot decks, right? You have the cat. If you look through the other cards, there are sort of hints and clues to the symbolic aspects of the tarot, which I think is great. And we have our cups, so Ace of Cups. I don't know what this is. 2 of Cups. 3 of Cups. 4. 5 of Cups. 6 of Cups. 7 of Cups. 8 of Cups. I love this 9 of Cups. Sort of starburst coming from the center of the figure. And 10 of Cups. We have our page. Our knight. Our queen. And our king. We get into swords. So our Ace of Swords. 2 of Swords. This is probably the least creepy figure in the whole deck for me. 3 of Swords. 4. 6, 7, 8 of Swords, 9, 10. The image is kind of horizontal, and it's interesting that the swords have been sort of depicted as figures, right? Which, you know, is an aspect of this card, right? The feeling of defeat and overwhelming sort of nature of life and all of the people that bring about that feeling. We have our page, our knight, queen, I love her crown, and our king. And then we get into the discs or pentacles. So we have our ace of discs, our 2. This is a little creepy. Our 3, our 4, 5, 6, 7. I love this 7. I love the look on this figure's face. And 8. Beautiful 8 of Pentacles. 9. The Great Rainbow. And 10. Happily sort of we're after family having all of the worldly goods that they need. And we have our page, our knight, our queen, and our king. So yeah, that is the Luminous Void Tarot. Now this, again, like I said, this deck, you know, the figures, for some reason, I don't know, didn't really connect with me, and it wasn't until I got it in my hands and I really started kind of working with the deck that I realized that this deck is a really emotional deck. The energy in it is very watery, and it really speaks to some of my feelings of, you know, depression and anxiety. And so a lot of times now since getting this, if I've had kind of, you know, questions or needed to work through some of those emotions, I've actually reached for this deck, and it has really helped, and it has really it's been really direct in its advice, which is great. It's a beautiful deck. The artwork is absolutely stunning. The quality of this deck for the price, I think it was about $40 or $45 US, if I remember correctly. And it's amazing. I'm so glad to have it. I'm so glad it's in my collection. Let me know what you think about the Luminous Void Tarot in the comments below. I would love to know what your thoughts on the deck are. And as always, thank you so much for coming to hang out with me and, you know, look at tarot. I super appreciate it. So as always, remember, everyone is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. So be kind, always. Bye, guys.